Hey guys, this is Mike L.
Bex Luther.
And G.I. Jolie.
We are here to review Rogue One. As I'm watching this movie, I'm trying to watch it from the perspective of someone who's never seen a Star Wars movie, and I thought the first third of the movie was actually confusing. Like I usually in a Star Wars movie, you don't have to really struggle to figure out what's going on, but in the first third of this movie, I felt like, why is Forest Whitaker there? What is his character doing? And then considering how much he was in the trailer, he's not really in the movie that much. What did you think about the first third of the movie with those characters?
It's hard to establish characters when your movie's plot is already the ending. We know that they get the plans, we know it. So when you have to make people enjoy these characters for who they are for such a short time, knowing the ending, right? Mm-hmm. So I didn't really mind it too much. I didn't really see too many trailers. I just saw kind of a couple of them.
Okay.
So I wasn't really expecting this dude to be a main person in the movie anyway, so it didn't bother me much.
No, I don't feel like the first part of the movie was confusing at all. Okay. It moved along very quickly, so you kind of have to be very focused. It's not terribly important that you memorize the names of all of the planets or moons that they're on, but it's very important that you catch the relationships of the characters and what they mean to each other.
It's one of those movies that I think in the future, if they don't experiment, this one's going to stand out as something they only did once. And I'm worried because I want them to keep experimenting. But I want to know your impression, Becca. What did you think?
It's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Come on.
For real.
Of all of them?
Yeah, out of all of them. I just felt the rebellion so much. I guess maybe it was because I was younger watching the older movies, as a child, not understanding kind of where the rebellion was coming from versus the Empire and all that stuff. And now that, we live in a world that I'm more of an adult and understand the world a little bit more like the Empire and the rebellion, kind of.
Were you bothered at all that the handle or the switch or the lever that was going to save the entire universe was just sitting there on this little panel that was in the middle of this kind of courtyard? Did that bother you at all? Was it too simple?
I actually laughed out loud when they showed it.
So did I.
The master switch. Well, what does it look like? And they never really said what it looked like. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be a button on a control panel, but they're gonna make it really hard to reach, sort of. So they send the blind guy.
That's not the blind guy. I mean, wait, who? Okay, you, the blind one, you.
But it's okay. He's not a Force user, but he's a Force believer.
The thing I like about this movie is it feels like a war movie, right? You really feel these people are actually in a rebellion and people are going to die. And I think I'll definitely say that of all the Star Wars movies, this one probably feels the most realistic. Do you agree with that?
It definitely feels the most war-esque.
Like a war movie.
Yeah, especially when they're on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, there was just something about all the characters felt like eventually it didn't matter who they were because what they were doing was more important. And that's the point, right?
There is one thing that bothered me.
Okay.
And it's that this is the first time I've ever seen female fighter pilots.
I noticed that too.
And I only noticed them because they seemed crammed into the plot of the war. It was glaring.
I think one of the things this movie didn't get right that the original Star Wars and Empire got right and Force Awakens got right, and that's that those movies really let the characters breathe. They had scenes where the characters were just sitting, just talking, and we really got to know them. And I felt like this movie actually was a step back where they were rushing through the plot so much that it felt like we didn't have a chance to just get to know these characters. Did you feel that or no? Were you fine?
I felt it, but not in a negative way, because I thought the point of the movie is the plot. It's not with original Star Wars, you have 3 movies to get to know these characters and develop them and their feelings and their intentions and what they want. Whereas with this movie, you eventually, all of the characters' motivations start off different and end up the same, and they're going to, because that's the plan, right? And that's what happens. So it didn't really bother me so much. I felt it was more the emphasis of rebellion and the idea of rebellion was more the forefront of the movie, more so than the characters.
There's other franchises that have imitated Star Wars and kind of not one-upped it, but I mean things like Firefly and Guardians of the Galaxy. They've taken that formula and they've kind of one-upped it. In this movie, it's almost like they lost that. They lost the character interplay and the humor and all that stuff. And especially you, I know you're a fan of Firefly and I know you like Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you feel like, compared to those movies, that you'd want to watch this one over and over again? Or would you rather watch those movies?
Sprawling epics are my jam. I like a little bit of dry history. Yes, Guardians of the Galaxy is a fun space science fiction romp, and this is not a science fiction romp. They're about to show you characters you're never going to see again. And they have to prepare you. How do you prepare an audience for that? I don't know. You put them in a war for 2 hours and we watch it. And we love it. There's something about this Star Wars film that I don't feel about any other Star Wars film, which is like actual just like satisfaction in a mature way. The original trilogy was like Guardians of the Galaxy. This is like the Saving Private Ryan.
Okay, you got to give me one thing. Is there anything in this movie you wish they could have improved?
Improved?
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Is there anything you didn't like?
Can I talk about things I did like?
Well, no, I'm trying to get things you didn't like. Just one little tiny thing.
Shout out to Gays in Space.
Were there any gays in space in this?
Yeah, they were totally like.
Oh, you know what? I was thinking that. I was like, are these guys going to kiss? Okay.
I wish they would have more gays in
Well,
space.
they definitely loved each other, and they can do whatever they want in space.
Yeah.
But they clearly took care of each other, so.
It's not gay if it's on the moon.
What did you think of Jin?
I loved her. I loved how she was for herself and then was like, oh, maybe I should. And like, she was flawed and then became a hero, I guess, in a sense.
I'm with you. Jin.
She is proof that minds who do not want to do anything, who do not believe in the red or the white, can be swayed. You hear that?
Good point. I thought she was a great actress. Obviously, nice to look at. I'm going to go and rent Theory of Everything now because of her. So what did you guys think of Cassian?
Oh, he's so dreamy.
I mean, if we're going to base characters off of their looks, then
Yeah,
sure.
What did you guys think of K2SO?
Droids are the best always. Droids, like, for your comic relief, you just throw in a droid. Like, that's such a good Star Wars way of living. It's just, oh, you need sassy, awesome character, but you can't have C-3PO on this one. So just throw in jerk, asshole droid.
Yeah.
And, like, make him really polite all the time, though, about it with his sass. I loved it.
Yeah. Make him very calculating. It's like, oh, no, I'm an asshole, but it's based on facts.
Compared to the other 7 Star Wars movies, where does this rank to you?
Probably number 1, but, I mean, it might be tied with Episode 7, because that was still my jam.
I rank this movie probably number 4. I obviously it's Empire, then Star Wars, then probably Force Awakens. Then I'll say this one.
It would be this one at the top. And then The Force Awakens.
I thought you were going to say the Ewoks Battle for Endor.
No, I hate those things.